Let me guess. This is about a boy, not the Hugh Grant movie. How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? It is very hot today, and sadly I've had to stay indoors. It is so hot outside with my air conditioner on. An absolute sauna in here. So I decided I might as well just sit and watch a couple of movies. And the next one on my list was something. DeeJsee, film that came out from the same guy who made a video game movie, not really in the same sense that you would think, a video game that kills people. Well, it didn't get a good score, so the director decided to try something else. The Boy, the most generic name that they could come up with. I mean, how else were you supposed to call it? Dollface? Doll Another Day? Dolomite! Alright, they're all terrible. Directed by William Brent Bell, starring Lauren Cohan, Rupert Evans, Jim Norton, and Diana Hardcastle, an American nanny who moves into a Victorian-era house in order to look after a little boy. Sounds simple enough, but the twist is actually a doll. And the most sinister thing lies just below the surface. An original idea sadly has been done to death, may just play off as jump scares and cheapness. Is there something more to this? Let's find out. Kick it into the good. So surprisingly, in a horror film that just seems generic, there are actually a lot of good positives here. For one, the acting is believable. Lauren Cohan, for one, has a whole lot of different emotions. You got happy, angry, sad, upset, disturbed, probably be counted in the same category. It was such a simple premise, she pushed pretty hard. And Rupert Evans, even though he doesn't have as much screen time in the movie, still tries to give it his all by being the delivery boy, but showing so much more. A little bit different for their sort of taste. I think they did a pretty good job. And the other actors that are in this, they all show some sort of emotion. Most of the time it is tragedy and dealing with exactly what the storyline is supposed to be, anger that has come through past events, and they play off each other quite well. The doll is weird. Almost lifelike from how they did it. So props to the designers who came up with this. Bravo. Unsettling. Always someone in the room with you. You definitely get that feeling, a somberness to it. Loved the opening. Calm, not jumping your face. It was enough to be able to establish character and introduce you into the world that you're going to be in for the next hour and 45 minutes. Good, subtle jump scares as well. One word that threw you off guard immediately. And one of them actually got me. I was looking at this going, maybe this isn't going to be so bad. It keeps you guessing with its subtlety. And I appreciated it. But then, it quickly loses steam. So with all of those really good moments, that was only at the start. A very slow movie. We're not talking a slow burn, talking slow. 20 minutes showing what she does in her day. Condensed it down to something. But then they have weird ways of doing shots that make it look like a lot of time has passed. Either one or the other. Make up your mind. Odd scenes don't stop either. Weirdest one I've seen, didn't even think was something that people did. Palm readers. See your future, your past, and everything else that you've gone through just by looking at your hands. Rare skill to have. Not many people in this world have it. And the rest of them are just cop-outs. But what they did here was...
Okay, what do you read?
Chewing gum. Trust me.
Weird? Yeah, let's go with weird. Who reads gum? You're reading a packet. I mean, I don't even understand why you'd be reading a packet. Well, you're trying to see how much sugar is in an actual gum capsule. How can you tell through someone's teeth marks? Unless you're a detective and you've just discovered the body. Most unintentionally funny things, from weird and creepy to... what the hell am I watching? I don't think it realized that it was trying to do that. Really upsetting moment that happened during the movie, I found myself laughing at. It just seemed like something out of a cartoon. Literally have them walk into the water. They put rocks in their pockets in order to weigh them down. It's got to be the first time I've ever seen that. Heard it once, and I think that was in a 2.5 Men episode.
The previous owner had a spectacular view as he filled his pockets with rocks and jumped into the pool.
And that was met with some pretty large laughs, which is what I gave it as well. The jump scares have got some real problems. They're shocking, sweet. They're fucking dream sequences. Feels like you're actually seeing this in real time. A jump happens. She wakes up. Okay, alright, thank you. Oh, you've done it again. Okay. Did you think about this before you wrote it? You read through this and saw that it only had 2 moments, what you would even classify as a jump scare, and they were both dreams. I'm not following what you're trying to make here. It's trying to overwhelm you with this horror, disturbing sequences that are supposed to happen, but ultimately comes across as laughable. For a few moments, they're trying to establish something supernatural, that he's taken possession of this doll. I'm on board with that. Weird as that sounds, there could be some good potential here. So we'll see that there's different actions be in one location, then it'll be in another, or he'll move a sheet off, a blanket will be put over him, and it'll just fall, not counting gravity. 4 hours pass between the time frame of her putting the blanket over him and her coming out to be shocked by it. You ever heard of wind? I know a lot of people say,
the wind must have blown over.
but in this case, it kind of counts. It makes up its own rules as it goes. A certain number of rules that she's supposed to do every night. She doesn't do half of them. When she does start to do them, it's not shown. No consequences happen. It's only when it becomes so apparent and so out there that eventually something happens. But it's not really shown in a proper way. Edits and the jump cuts that go through this is all over the place. There's this odd moment cutting to inside and outside the house, cutting to Rupert Evans leaving towards his car, then cutting back to Lauren Cohan inside the house. And then it cuts again. And then again. And then again. And then again. And then again. I promise I'm not making this up. That is how it comes across in the movie, and that is how it is shown. The part that actually kept me invested, that there is actually a spirit here, that's gone to waste within the last 30 minutes. Turns into something entirely different, and you feel like the movie that you're watching was not the same one that you put on an hour ago. That you had a proper story going. You had an idea of exactly what was going on. I would have liked to have seen something a little bit different, but I was okay with it. Flipped it on its head. That's not a twist. That's just stupid. Just because you think that a twist is going to engage the audience doesn't mean that you can throw all of your plot under the bus. Now, if you were establishing that throughout the whole thing, by the time you see the end, it doesn't make any sense. Taken your plot, everything about it, and thrown it out the window just in that last act. Why did the doll need to be there? That's a genuine question. Why did it need to exist? The parents knew. Why were they treating the doll like it was their kid? Why did they kill themselves? Why did he put the doll back together? Why did he stay in the house? It clearly shows in the list of rules to do every single night, Brahms is not allowed to leave. The door was open. You had the ability to show off shock factor. This killer is now loose in the world. A sort of modern day Jack the Ripper. I mean, hell, he's wearing a mask. You could have had him as the next serial killer. It went nowhere. It just has him rebuilding the doll. Why? What is the purpose? So you can call in another nanny and pretend that there is actually a spirit there? No. Pointless. This had so many different premises, different storylines that they could have engaged with, decided to go with the simplest one, and then immediately changes its mind on that. I would have liked to have seen a psychological horror. What we're seeing isn't actually happening. Thinking that he's alive, she's clearly losing her mind. The suicide wasn't a suicide, that she actually killed them, that she was sleepwalking the whole time. Any of these explanations that would have come up as a way of saying wasn't actually real. A good way of showing the twist, even though it's been done to death, it still would have been something different. This sort of storyline, as simple a premise as it is, they couldn't get the simplest of plots to go along with it. Lazy. It's been done over and over again. And it also feels like it went through a lot of rewrites. It may have hurt the movie. There was so much potential here. It's a shame because I was liking this, really enjoying it. When it got to the halfway mark, a lot of ideas that sadly don't come into play, much like a doll not being used to its full potential. That's why the boy gets... Now, I always like to end my reviews with a quote from the film, but this film doesn't have much. Honestly, it doesn't have, well, any. It exists in this world. Would I watch it again? No. If there's nothing else on, have gone through a lot of different other horror films and you're just looking for something else, maybe. But even then, it's not really a recommendation, is it? So I just had to go with one that I thought would be the closest. You wouldn't hurt me, would you, Brahms? Delivery is just as bland as this movie is. You'll know it if you see it. But that being said, did you see it? Will you see it? And if so, let me know in the comments. Until then, I've been DeeJsee, and always remember, did you see it? I had nothing there, you know, no substance. I mean, it'd be interesting if this got a sequel. Oh, there is one. Yay.